Spoilers for seasons 1 through 7 of Game of Thrones. My opinion on Game of Thrones is more tempered than most. While legions of fans are salivating for more thronage, my personal excitement has dwindled. In fact, my love for the series has decreased in stature over time, lowering itself like a White Walker's bony boner. Even though I've devoured every page of the books with my eyeballs and faithfully soaked in every episode of the HBO adaptation for years, the once Wildfire series has settled for being merely pretty good, rather than great for the latter half of its lifespan. And despite my willingness to stick with the series like a used mattress in Littlefinger's brothel, I believe Game of Thrones is past its prime. Admittedly, my opinion regarding Game of Thrones' diminishing quality isn't necessarily unique in my industry of pop cultural punditry. Outlets like Slate and The Week have been eulogizing this series for years, yet their criticisms don't match my own for this sprawling high fantasy series. Like Edmure failing to light his father's corpse on fire, we all realize we're at a funeral, but we haven't gone over my take as to why the series peaked years ago and how it's been falling from grace ass first out the moon door ever since. Bye, Aunt Lysa. Game of Thrones' earlier seasons fired on all cylinders like Theon Greyjoy's massive cock, while the later seasons still contained the great characters, political intrigue, action, magic, ice zombies, dragons, memes, and the what the fuck moments that define the series. They just don't resonate with me like seasons 1 through 4 did. Early episodes of Game of Thrones shocked us. Unless you read the books like sadistic fucks that you are, Game of Thrones was unpredictable. The show subverted expectations with the death of lead protagonist Ned Stark, the Battle of Blackwater Bay, the Red Wedding, the Purple Wedding, and the Brown Wedding.
Pig shit!
Sure, Game of Thrones' early goings did have its imperfections, like the abundance of awkward, off-putting sex scenes, some slower episodes, and some unintentionally hilarious lines.
Littlefinger is one of the most dangerous men in Westeros.
It's so dumb! After all, who could have predicted any of these twists that alter the course of the plot? Seriously, watching Sean Bean be decapitated should be in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the greatest thing since sliced bread. Or should I say, sliced head. These moments were shocking, but when season 5 rolled around, you know, the worst season,
you want a good girl, but you need the bad pussy.
There was no real surprise save for Jon Snow getting stabbed in the back, which had people immediately clamoring on the internet that he wasn't really dead and he was going to come back, because after all, fan theories had deemed Jon important and necessary to the plot. If Jon had been fridged in the early years of Game of Thrones, the show would have let Jon die alone in the snow with no friends. Then all the fuckers that stabbed him would murder Ghost and mutilate his body for good measure, and then go out for a nice bit of Jamba Juice. But the truth is, Jon had to return. Through years of fan theories, we know that Jon is a Targaryen, so he must be resurrected to fulfill a future plotline. You know, because the fan theory R+L=J. But from the stance of shocking plot twists and good writing, it might as well have been R+L=Stein. Jon Snow's death in Season 5 and eventual resuscitation in early Season 6 was where Game of Thrones switched from being great to merely being pretty good with a few great, amazing moments sprinkled in. Where Game of Thrones was once renowned for devastating your hopes as if it were either Simon Cowell or My Morning Weigh-In, it became fan service. Sure, it was gratifying fan service, but fan service nonetheless. Like, take the Battle of the Bastards, for instance. We knew that Jon was going to win, but we also wanted Jon to win. We expected epic action and the defeat of the dastardly Ramsay Snow, and watch him die in a brutal fashion, because fuck him. He's an asshole. The episode was awesome, sure, but there was never really any tension or doubt because we knew that the only way the plot could progress in a new direction was a direction where our heroes actually succeeded and won. This is a problem because Game of Thrones is at its best when it doesn't deliver exactly what we want. Unlike most fantasy series, Game of Thrones isn't a form of wish fulfillment. We didn't want Ned Stark to be beheaded, but that's what made it so memorable. Same with the Red Wedding. Even events that we demanded to happen for years, like certain character deaths, say Joffrey or Tywin, Game of Thrones took its time to deliver these death sequences that made the wait so worth it when their time finally came up. It wasn't predictable or immediate, but these deaths were delivered at a moment of greatest impact. And for Tywin, very convenient as he was on the toilet so he can die taking a shit. This gratification problem is evident in the other parts of the latter half of the series, particularly in Season 7, where all the characters start to converge. While Season 7 and 6 as well had some great moments like the battle sequence between Jaime Lannister and Dany's dragons, or Cersei celebrating as her murderous plot against the Tyrells comes to fruition, many moments such as the North of the Wall bit in Season 7 just don't strike a chord, and if anything, are laughably bad. Like, seriously, how long can this dude go on? I'm surprised there isn't a Game of Thrones-themed Endless Runner mobile game for this. I mean, look at this champ. So what does this mean for Season 8? I honestly don't know, because most of the popular fan theories have already played out, so I'm unsure who will live and who will die by the end, which admittedly makes Season 8 kind of exciting again. With that said, I'm expecting it to be what the last few seasons have been, which was pretty entertaining, but nothing truly spectacular like the earlier season. I guess time will tell. We will know whether or not Season 8 is as good as the early seasons in just a few months.
You want a good girl, but you need
Pig shit.
Whenever you're ready, my lord.